Greetings, Earthlings. I'm Jose Santana,
And I'm Apollo Black,
and this is Consumed by TV.
the podcast that brings you breakdown, Easter eggs, and hidden gems you might have missed at first glance.
On today's episode, we will be discussing
Only murderers in the building. We're going to go over the trailer and then do a little of a breakdown, because if you remember last year, we did a pretty rough breakdown of the last two episodes, because we were doing it in the heat of the moment, and then we also had a bunch of plans to go on vacation. It was the holidays, the new year, so we kind of rushed that episode. But Jose took the time to sit down and write a whole thing for us, and today Jose is going to take over and we're going to break it down. So only murderers in the building, and I'm going to let Jose get started, and then we'll, how I usually do, I'll ask questions or I'll stop him in between and ask, and he'll answer and continue. So Jose, only murderers in the building. So welcome back, Consumed by TV. How you been?
Alright, so we're going to do episodes 209 and 210, which are the last two episodes of season 2. 209 is called Sparring Partners. Episode 210 is I Know Who Did It. So quick recap of season 2. Picks up where season 1 left off, where they arrest Mabel because, it looks like she murdered Bunny.
Yes.
And then it picks up with them in the police station. God, I still love that scene. Them getting interrogated. And the only calm one's Mabel.
Yeah.
Obvious reasons. But at the end of episode 208, we learn who Glitter Guy is. Because that was the Lights Out episode.
Yes.
So then with 209, obviously Mabel figured out that's Glitter Guy. But we get to see Detective Krepp's point of view. Which I like the character's point of views, but I'm like, with certain ones.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I didn't know he was gonna get a point of view, so it threw me off because I'm like, he's there but not really there.
But that's what made the episode more interesting when we got it, because we were always watching it from the perspective of the three main characters, and then we were trying to figure out who Glitter Guy is, and when they finally introduced Glitter Guy, not only did we get the story behind it, but we got a backstory and an episode dedicated to how it developed. And then that episode got a backstory to how that developed. So I loved it. I
mean, I gotta admit, I like the way it led into 210. But the episode begins with Detective Krepp's boxing, and he's narrating about his life, saying last year the NYPD had a budget of $5.5 billion. His salary was roughly $85,819 before taxes, alimony, and the mortgage on his dump of a place where he lives. Basically, he is a jaded detective in New York City. He says try living on that in New York City, that it's impossible. So you take other jobs, you work security at Coney Island, or you help out departments in small towns who might not be equipped to handle things like multiple homicides or missing persons, which basically leads up because they were trying to figure out who Glitter Guy was. It led them to Coney Island. And we learned he took the job there because he doesn't make enough money as an NYPD detective. Him taking other jobs in other cities, which I didn't know that was allowed. I don't know if it's a TV thing or in real life, but detectives could take other cases in other cities, unless you're FBI. But
I think it's a PI, a private investigator.
A PI? Oh yeah,
a PI.
Okay.
I think
that makes more sense.
Either that or a detective, but I'm pretty sure a PI can take cases in other cities.
Yeah, because I don't think a New York City detective can, but if he's private investigating, okay, that makes sense. So he basically says he does his jobs, he gets in, he gets paid. Boop, boop, boop. Lost my train of thought. But every once in a while, you meet someone at a bar and everything changes. So they allude that who he meets. And we learn that it's Cinda Canning.
Yes.
Cinda Canning, the podcast host and creator of All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma. The podcast we first see in the pilot episode because our three main characters are listening to. What brings them together is this podcast.
It's one big circle.
And the death of Tim Kono. Callback.
Yeah, right? It's a callback.
It is a callback. And we see so he's looking at Cinda Canning.
But I gotta pause you right there.
Yeah.
if you go back to when we first started doing this podcast and we first started talking about like theories and Easter eggs, I did say, and I'm pretty sure it's in either the first episode or the third episode we recorded, I did say that this podcast, this lady would be the downfall of our group, our friend group, and what happened in season 2. It wasn't technically her. Spoiler warning for if you guys haven't seen it, but this is also spoiler warning, like if you haven't watched it, stop what you're listening to, go watch it, or stop watching us, because now we're doing videos and this is our first video. So thank you for joining. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. But yes, if you watch an episode that we did, I said when we first started the podcast that if Only Murders in the Buildings succeeded and got popular, that Cindy Canning, only now everything's okay in Oklahoma, would turn around and try to get rid of them or set them up for murder or some type of shit. And what happened? That's exactly what happened in season 2, but it wasn't Cindy Canning. It was her assistant. I forgot her name. I apologize. Poppy. It was Poppy. And what a twist. But I called it. I called it when we first started the show. I said it, that this would be the downfall. And it was actually their downfall, but also their upbringing to major success and like to the biggest murder / cover-up ever. Like the biggest cover-up.
And of all the people, it had to be Bunny.
Right? Like, don't get me wrong. I didn't like Bunny as a person. Her character was good, and then when we got the episode that explained her entire story and backstory, I was like, oh, you're meant to like her, but then you're like not meant to like her because she grew, like she just gave up. She's like, she got tired of everything that's happening around her. She's like, I'm the old lady. I've been taking care of all you guys for the last 30, 40 years. I've given up. Somebody else, it's time. But I loved it. Once we got that story, I was like, but why did it have to be Bunny? Why?
But it moved the plot forward, and they did really good at explaining it.
Except for the red herring episode, that one still irritates me to this day. I know what his position in the episode was, but that episode was still a red herring, and I didn't like it.
Fair.
The episode where they introduced this girl's boyfriend, the one where she's taking over for Bunny. Her boyfriend was like trying to sell the hotel for these guys. They literally ran that story, and then nothing happened to that story.
They never picked it up.
So it was like a red herring. They're like, I'm gonna introduce her. They're like, I'm gonna introduce this guy's husband, and let you think he's the murderer, and then never see him again.
Nothing ever. He was literally there for a scene.
A scene.
Just like
a pregnant woman who's supposed to have a husband, and he's in one scene, and the rest of the season she is by herself, taking care of that baby with the doorman.
Yep.
Who's the real daddy? Who's the real daddy?
It's not the doorman.
He's sitting there taking care of the baby. Sounds like he's the daddy to me. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Mabel lets Charles and Oliver know Krebs is a glitter guy, but they don't know he's the mastermind behind the setting them up, basically. Right. At least that's when I'm watching. I'm like, so you can kind of tell he's the bad guy.
Yes.
Up to this moment. They look at Krebs' backpack, and Mabel says the chicken logo looks familiar, but she can't pinpoint why it looks familiar. That's important. Mabel truly do be figuring shit out.
Yeah.
They all do, but really,
Mabel's the one that actually figures it all out.
And then Oliver does come in because, remember, another B plot storyline that I despise is Oliver trying to figure out now if his son is his biological son.
Yeah, like that I understand. They get in there just to like give us a different side of comfort. Like, you're watching a murder mystery show that takes place around a murder mystery podcast. We get it, and then these guys are solving actual murders. But hey, here's this B-side story of one of the main characters. He doesn't know if he's the father of his son now, and he's been raising him for the last 32 years. Like, okay, we get it. You didn't have to throw that in there. And then not only that, you could have made it one episode. You could have made it two. Just explain it. No, you literally waited for the mid-season to give us the last 5 or 4 episodes with the murder to go with this B story too. You dragged it.
They didn't. Oliver don't deserve that kind of storyline. Okay,
He was too. Yeah, he didn't
there are
deserve it. He
better
didn't deserve
storylines
it.
he could have had.
They could have done a whole thing, especially like because of that son storyline. They could have just progressed the storyline of his son becoming a musical director. How his father is. He decided his son took over the theater to produce his own his first play. They could have progressed that. How his son went down that journey, but no, they were like,
it's like how he finally understood his father and why he was so passionate about theater and Broadway.
But no, the whole point of that story was, am I your dad or am I not? And no, he's not the father. But they just decide to keep it like his father and son decide to keep it under the rug. Was like, you're the only dad I know. If I don't know you, then I don't know anybody else. I'm just a bastard. Hey, he said it, not me. The episode, just continue.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. He also brought Mrs. Gambolini the bird, trying to gift it to Charles. They fight over who should keep the bird and accidentally open the secret compartment.
Yes.
Revealing the original Rose Cooper painting, because also this is about a painting too.
Yeah.
With they really threw a lot of plots in as I think about it now.
They threw a lot of plots in, and all of them were perfectly tied off. But there's still some threads hanging. There's like 2 or 3 plots that are still hanging, and I'm pretty sure season 3 will take care of that.
I know. Oh my god! Speaking of season 3, I'm very excited and not excited at the same time.
I'm just excited. I'm excited. I know because they have so many A-listers. It's going to be amazing. I know that for a fact.
Streep.
And Paul Rudd.
But Meryl freaking Streep? They got Meryl Streep?
There's a musical episode coming up. I 100% know that. There is a musical episode coming up. I 100% know that.
There has to be. There's no way.
And if you know me as a person, I hate musicals to a very, very high degree. And I'm putting my little fingers out because, just don't want to exaggerate. But I really hate musicals. And the only musical I will sit down to actually watch is The Greatest Showman and Sweeney Todd, if I'm saying that correctly. Those are the only 2 musicals I will sit down to watch. Anything else can just go shove it. One of my favorite cartoons is Bob Belcher's, and they did a musical episode, and I skipped it. I skipped it because it is a musical. Bob, you know what I'm saying. I'm in the moment of heated.
I know.
In the heated moment. I skipped it. Anyway, continue, please. I love this podcast.
I would like to say I thoroughly enjoy musicals, whether they're good or bad. It's pure entertainment to me. I watched all 6 seasons of Glee.
Anyway, back to Only Murders in the Building.
Yes. Sidetrack. Back to Only Murders in the Building. The Charles and Oliver are basically fighting over who should keep Mrs. Gambolini, and as they're fighting, like pushing the birdcage back and forth, they open a secret compartment, which reveals the original Rose Cooper painting. Dun dun dun. Mabel goes to her apartment and sees Alice, who brought her a gift and says she needs to have a Wii. And also, prior to that episode, I know it really skips a lot. Like they are really giving us everything because it's the penultimate episode before the finale. Because also, that Mabel's B storyline is trying to not be involved in all these like murder stuff and like figure out what she wants to do in this life. Blah blah blah. Your basic millennials midlife crisis. We love it.
Right.
She was, seeing what's her face? Alice. Alice was basically using her to do like a live art show piece, and when she walked in on it, that sent Mabel over the edge.
She was using her life as inspiration.
Yeah. Immersion therapy, Mabel.
No, you just wanted to get rich off the clout.
Yep. But she offers Mabel gifts and she's not looking for sympathy. Mabel says she should thank her for making her realize she doesn't want her life to be all about the worst parts of it. She has more to offer the world than that. She lets Alice knows that she likes her but doesn't trust her, and that she can't be with someone she doesn't trust. But I would like to say, in the next episode, it kind of leaves it open still, okay? I don't know if we're getting Cara Delevingne back, but she shouldn't be anyone that's trust. Alice says, if you ever need anything, you have my number and don't hesitate to ask, which leads into Alice going to being in the finale.
Okay.
Back at Charles' apartment, he's on the phone trying to get a hold of Bunny's mom when he realizes the person, like, he never, like, because they meet Bunny's mom in the funeral episode.
Yes.
But he discovers
That
that wasn't Bunny's mom.
Yeah.
So who was it, you might ask? So Charles the wheels start turning in his head, like you see it. You're like, huh. And then, boom. Clicks. It was the one, the only Rose Cooper.
Bum bum bum.
You know what they say about art? You know, people only celebrate the artist after their death.
Yeah.
So she disappeared. And at Oliver's apartment. We are at all their apartments. I am telling you, they are jam-packing us before this season finale to get these B storylines resolved. Baby!
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they
You
are.
are getting it all in this episode. I think that episode was longer than the finale. Or it felt longer just because they were giving us so much. And at Oliver's apartment, he lets Will know he is a Putnam for real, putting on his very best theatrical version of all, denial. Through and through. Will is happy to hear the news, not realizing how much not knowing was weighing on him. He's like, that was a big, it was weighing me down, and now it's not. So it's like a sigh of relief. But back to Mabel's apartment. Mabel is looking up crepes and finds a boxing ring and looks like we're in for a fight. And basically says, like, looks like we're in for a fight. Mabel goes to the boxing ring, guys, alone.
Yeah, which is stupid on her behalf, but I know she can handle herself.
I know, but still. Ugh. Still, like, have we not learned? Anyway, she's like, looks like we're in for a fight, and then says it again, but recording herself this time. Oh yeah, she picks up her phone to record it, like how Oliver would. Then says she needs a life because she realizes she's becoming Oliver. Mabel shows up to the gym and starts sparring with Detective Krebs, and he starts slipping up, thinking he's smarter than her. Like, Mabel's basically antagonizing him, and he thinks he's just so smart that he's not letting anything slip. But he's revealing everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, so Mabel, like I said, is questioning him. He alludes to being Glitter Guy, even though she knows he's Glitter Guy. Then back at the Arconian, oh my god, speak, Jose. Oliver is in the elevator, and it stops on Teddy's floor, and Teddy, joins the elevator. The elevator door closes, and boom, Oliver is choking out Teddy. Basically saying, you're the bio dad to my kid, and not to ever let him know. That's a whole little scene. They have their moment. Bing, bang, boom. Boom. Cut back to Mabel eggs. Like, she keeps antagonizing Krebs more, and he ends up saying something he shouldn't. Which is, if I'm so dumb, how come I'm with the smartest woman in the world who produced the #1 podcast show, which is alluding to Cinda Cannon, because All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma is like super popular in this
it's
world.
#1.
It's the #1 murder mystery podcast. Charles, obviously, like I said, figured out Bunny's mom was Rose Cooper. They end up talking. Charles is someone who keeps a lot in and holds a lot of scenarios in his head, and like he's stuck in the past a lot. So she asks Charles, do you charge those people rent in your head? Because he just never lets things go. And then she asks him for the painting and reveals there's another painting underneath of Charles and his dad.
Yep.
So it was basically the secret painting had the painting of Charles and his dad. Mabel lets Krebs know that she isn't scared of him, and he says you should be, and that people go away for things they didn't do all the time, alluding to Mabel's gonna go down for this murder of Bunny. She's about to go to jail. about to go to death row. I don't know if they have that in New York City, but I'm gonna just say it. Death row.
Pretty sure that's what they were alluding to.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, he mentions all okay is not in Oklahoma, that he's dating the smartest girl, and says the OG podcast, or the original podcast, takes guts, intelligence, and he should know, etc. Tells Mabel to get them out of his gym. Ugh. First off, the actor that plays Detective Crap just always plays a bad guy, so I feel like they should have picked someone who didn't. Alright. Mabel's back at her apartment. She is re-listening to All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma, hears who the sponsors is, and realizes that's why the chicken logo looks familiar. She heard it. She didn't see it. She heard about the chicken logo.
Yeah.
In the podcast, Cinda says it's amazing the allies you can make, alluding to like just by going to bars and talking and, you know, being a little bit shady. Mabel goes to Cinda's podcast studio and sees Poppy, saying, "Why is Poppy afraid of Cinda?" And she says, "You don't know what Cinda is capable." And she reveals she's Becky Butler. Becky Butler, who's supposed to be missing and or dead. This cuts to Mabel running down the hall of the Arconi into Charles' apartment and puts up a picture of Cinda Canning in their mastermind spot, revealing that she could possibly be the mastermind behind setting Mabel up, and making Charles and Oliver look like accessories. That is how episode 209 ends. Hello, we're back.
Welcome back, guys.
We finished up episode 209 with the big reveal. Cinda Canning is the mastermind. But as we know now, by watching season 1 and all of season 2, is it really ever that simple?
Never.
Do you really get the clues right on the first try?
They usually do, but no,
I mean,
you
yes,
never
do. But like, you know.
Yeah.
So, just like in episode 209, episode 210 picks up with Poppy's life as Becky Butler. What?
Backstory, love it.
So we learn Poppy lives at home with her drunk dad and is the assistant to the mayor.
Yes.
Or as they say, is an executive team member to the mayor. We learn her life is shit. She's miserable. She hates her life. Her life is nothing special. If anything, it's a sad life.
Very true.
She's taking care of a drunk. I don't know if he's sick. I want to assume he's sick, but I'm pretty sure he's just a drunk dad.
Drunk.
She's working at the mayor's office as an assistant, who he tries to hit on her at the end of every night to get to drink some wine with, and he says, "You can't always say no to me." But yeah, that's so. Like I said, we get to see Poppy's life as Becky Butler. She lives at home with her dad, assistant to the mayor. Becky is back home, listening to one of Cinda Canning's podcasts, a podcast that wasn't as popular as All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma. It's just a podcast she's doing. And during this podcast, Becky Butler is looking. She looks up how to disappear so no one in your life can ever find you, but then changes it to how to disappear. Cuts to her going to the bathroom and cutting her hair. And all of a sudden, she pops up in New York City in Cinda Canning's studio podcast, wherever that's located, and introduces herself. Jesus, Jose. As Poppy White. Cinda says, "Poppy, like my favorite bagel." Poppy White tells her about the missing Becky Butler, and then Cinda says a whole bunch of stuff. It's like, why would we be interested in that? And she's like, because she was being harassed by the mayor, blah blah blah. And she's like, did he do it? It'd be better if he did it. And like, is she dead or missing? Missing. It'd be better if he's dead and the mayor did it.
Mm-hmm.
So you see the wheels turning in Becky Butler, aka Poppy White's head. So it cuts to back in Oklahoma all of a sudden, because they set up the mayor. which we, ugh, not Cinda, Poppy and what's his face, Detective Crab set up the mayor.
Yeah.
But anywho, as we learn, you know, Poppy basically is the one that created "All Is Not Okay" in Oklahoma. She's like, because I thought you could. His campaign slogan, "All will be okay" in Oklahoma. So I thought the podcast could be called "All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma," and blah blah blah. Then Cinda basically asked Poppy, "What do you want? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you here?" "I want a job." So what kind of job does Cinda Canning give her? To be her assistant, just like she was in Oklahoma.
Yep.
An assistant. Who takes all the credit for All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma? Cinda Canning. Takes every last bit of credit for All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma. So basically, we get to see Poppy they're trying to figure out their next big podcast after All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma. They're listening to the trio's season 1 finale podcast of Only Murders in the Building. Cinda is pissed, all right? She is heated. She is mad that the trio beat her to the punch. Also mad that she didn't believe them, about making the podcast. That's on her. As you're seeing this, she's trying to take her whatever meds these are, and then she's getting pissed the fuck off. Poppy brings up, have you thought about that missing artist Rose Cooper in the painting that I told you about? Just like, arts, really, Poppy? No, arts rhymes with farts. And like, basically, she really does treat Poppy like shit. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I get the overall like Poppy's point of staying, like, and like doing it, like, cause like Poppy looks weak, like she's shy and timid.
Yeah.
But really, this bitch is a mastermind, and we would have never known. And then what else? Oh, so then the group is assuming it is Cinda, but they're at the, what's it? Oh, not Tommy. The Demas's Deli shop.
Yeah, they're in Dima's Delis.
There we go. I was like, what's the name? They're in Dima's Delis. What they get a call from Detective Williams.
Yep.
That the fingerprints on the knife come back to a missing girl or dead girl in Oklahoma, and then that's when it clicks in Mabel's head that it's not Cinda, it's Poppy. So then we cut to Bunny's apartment, and they're like, "We know who did it." To like, what's her face? I don't remember her name. Shit, I have such a hard time remembering the side characters' names in this show. I'm so focused on the trio. But
talking about
the
Alice
tenants in the building. Bunny, the other old lady, Howard.
The tenants.
The tenants in the building, basically. And they're like, and you're gonna help us catch them. And they're like, how? And they're like, and Oliver.
Theater, yep.
So they get set up. And then, oh yeah, because they call it a killer reveal party. They get set up, they question Cinda, but at the time they're questioning Cinda, Alice comes in. Remember, last episode, Alice said, if you ever need anything, just let me know. So this is part of their plan. So basically they're like dubbing it all on Cinda, and then it goes to, they put it on Alice, and then it looks like they solved it. But Alice, because they fake stabbed Charles. Yeah, they fake stabbed Charles. I'm getting ahead of myself, guys. I apologize. Alexi's just looking at me.
Excuse you?
I thought you were just looking at me.
No, what you said.
I'm nervous. But basically, it's the ploy. They're like trying to set it up that it's Cinda and then frame it on Alice. Alice says she would have got away with it type shit. Very Scooby-Doo, might I add.
Yeah. Very Scooby-Doo.
Very Scooby-Doo. Stabs Charles, they tape her, and then this is when it really goes down, because Cinda's like, you've got guts, kid. You have what it takes to be a podcaster. And Poppy, oof. baby.
She lets go.
She lets it. She fucked up. That took her over the edge. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This was luck. And like, just start. I get it. It's a point, but it's like I hate when like don't admit your plan.
Yeah.
Like, don't admit your plan. But it's basically like, she basically because oh yeah, Charles' former stepkid. Like they look, who are you gonna believe, me or some teenager in the walls? And they never mentioned in their podcast about his stepdaughter.
And they never mentioned his daughter figuring out the secret paths, even though
At
she
all.
knew him from being a child there.
But anyways, she basically like lets it out, and then like, oh, the also point of it is as Poppy's going off, she's sneezing a lot. We don't know why she's sneezing, but remember, someone in the secret passageway was sneezing when they left murdering bunnies.
And we find out that she's allergic to the bird.
Allergic to Mrs. Gambellini. And then this is when she's like, is it a crime to be allergic to a bird? You're gonna believe some girl hiding in the walls?
And they're like, we never mentioned his daughter.
And they're like, only the killer would know a girl was hiding in the walls that night. And it was like, her name is Lucy. And that's when, wait for it, because they're assuming Charles is dead. Charles pops back up. But after he says, and your name is Lucy, Cinda goes, and yours is Becky. And then Charles pops up because Poppy's like, who told you that? We did?
Yep.
And then it cuts to them figuring out that it was Poppy. Because all season long, Mabel was trying to remember what Bunny's last dying words were. It was 14 savage. 14 savage. But it wasn't 14 savage.
It was actually a deli order that Poppy picks up every morning.
It was. Ooh, I got the name right now.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, she's like, I think I know what 14 savage means, and it cuts to. Oh yeah, the liverwurst and mom. Yeah, because it's like a nasty ass sandwich. That's why it's called 14 savage, not because of
disgusting
Charles, but because that is a very disgusting sandwich. It's got like liverwort and something else. Gross. Then it cuts back to the police walking into the bunny's apartment and arresting Poppy. You see Detective Krebs already in handcuffs. Then we get Poppy narrating. Poppy narrates basically like, they got caught. It cuts to them like you see her and Detective Krebs in bed. So I don't know why that scene creeps me out.
Because he's just older than her. We can assume that.
Yeah, I guess, but like I get it. Younger and older people date, but there's just something about that scene that really creeps me out.
Two creepy people together,
Yeah,
making
I guess
whoopee.
that's it. So, sorry, that scene just really throws me off. You get the backstory of like them setting it all up, and then he's like, "You can do it, because obviously he can't be the one to murder. Why not? He's gotta be the one to cover it up, help her cover it up." And then we cut to the trio and Cinda ending their podcast seasons. And it's like from only murders in the building and only murderers in the building. Because again, Cinda stole the title from Poppy. Like, honestly, what is Cinda Caney gonna do without Becky Butler?
She's got nothing. Yeah, she's gonna end up broke and only.
That's what I really want to see. I'm like, wait,
popular.
I just thought about that. She's got nothing without Poppy.
She's got nothing.
Like, yes, she can cover Poppy, but like, what are you gonna do after that?
Listen to only murderers in the building and steal off of them.
Yeah. So then we cut to Charles back on the reboot of Brazos, because remember the network had him dementia, handicap in a wheelchair because he was on trial for murder, or involved in a murder case. But as the group, as we see, solved it, his character no longer has dementia and is out of the wheelchair. But Charles finally gets the courage to ask his makeup lady out, and they do a very awkward kiss.
Yep.
Very, very awkward.
But well needed.
I get it. But
he needed a love story that wasn't a crazy psycho chick.
I know, but there's a... I know. Then we... It was just creepy. But we cut to Mabel's apartment. Again, Alice is there. And they're painting over the murals that Mabel did of the tenants in the building. So it's like a full circle moment. I really like that moment.
Yep.
I don't know what it means about Mabel and Alice's future.
It means she got over the fact that she used her for a muse and inspiration and was like, you know what, fuck it, you're the only thing that's actually good in my life, let's just keep it going.
I know, but I don't like, we don't learn, like, the Oscar plot, they drop so quickly.
Yeah.
That I didn't like. Because it's Oliver's apartment, and, you know, this is when Will's like, I know you were lying, you have your tells too, and I've known them since I was a kid, but, like, you're my dad. You're the only dad I know.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oliver gets a call. Guess who it is, baby? Broadway! Broadway! My man who's been blackballed from Broadway. Broadway called him.
Yeah.
Oliver Putnam to direct. Direct, y'all. He is back.
And when he directs hard.
Yes. Which comes, like, I usually hate when shows do this, I will admit. But we get a time jump. For this show, it makes very much sense because the first two seasons are all within the span of not even a calendar year, to be honest. It's like a few months.
Yeah, it's a few months.
So, I applaud the time jump. Because, I mean, you know, instead of picking up with, like, another murder, like, really, it's going to be murder after murder after murder. We get a 1 year later time jump. So this means for a whole year, their lives were good.
They were living it up.
In bliss. Anyways, so yeah, it's 1 year later. It is the opening. I'm assuming it's the opening night for Oliver's directorial debut. You know, since being blackballed after that Splash, the musical nonsense.
Yep.
We learn who his leading man is. It's played by Paul Rudd. His name's Ben. Paul Rudd, y'all. Daddy.
And he has some beef with,
Oh, yeah. And then he's, like, walking out of the dressing room pissed, mad, angry. Ben, who's played by Paul Rudd. It's not me you have to worry about. It's the other guy. And we're all wondering who the other guy is. Why is he so pissed? And, like, he wants him to apologize. All of these things. And then, right before the curtains go up, you see Ben's getting in character, but he's coughing. Why is he coughing? Maybe he's just trying to clear his throat. But that's when the other guy walks up. And we learn it's Charles. He tells him, good luck tonight. Not break a leg. You're supposed to say break a leg in theater.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck's a curse in theater. You're supposed to say break a leg. So then they're having a little tiff. And he's like, good luck is a curse in theater. He's like, you don't think I know that? I was being polite to you, piece of shit. I'm very excited to see what their beef's about. And then Charles says, be smart and stay away from her. And then Charles walks off stage, like, backwards, by the way. Very, like, what is it? Noir vibes? Like, what's
a noir.
Yeah. A noir vibe, and he walks off stage. Then we cut to the audience members. Mabel's there, Oliver's sitting down, he's nervous, Lucy's there, Charles's girl's there. Like, everyone basically, from what I can tell, the tenants, Detective Williams, all of them are there to support Oliver. Curtains open. He's about to say his line, but he keeps coughing. And then blood comes out of his mouth, and then he passes out. And then that's when Charles walks off from walks on stage from off stage and says he's dead. It cuts, so it's like a close up on Charles's face. You see Mabel's face, and then you see Oliver's face. Boom. And then Mabel, right before it ends, Mabel says, "You got to be fucking kidding me." Because like before that, she said, "A year without murder is a good year in my books."
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know who the her Charles is alluding to when he's talking to him. I'm assuming it's Mabel, but you know.
We'll find out in season 3. We'll find out in season 3.
We'll find out in season 3. Because, I mean, there could be other characters he's alluding to. Someone in the cast.
Mm-hmm. He could be talking about Meryl Streep.
Yes, dude, Meryl Streep. So at this point, when this aired, we only knew Paul Rudd was going to be in season 3. Then we learned Jesse Williams, Jackson Avery from Grey's Anatomy.
Hell yeah,
will
let's
also
get
be
it.
in season 3. And then recently, they announced Meryl Streep's in season 3. I'm very excited for when this trailer drops. I'm assuming it's. I want to assume the show will come out this August.
Yeah. I'm assuming too.
Like, that's what I would assume, because season 1 dropped August 31st, 2021. And that went through October 19th, 2021. And then season 2 dropped that summer. June 28th, 2022, all the way until August 23rd, 2022. So we basically got 2 seasons within a year. So I'm hoping, my hope is, if season 3 isn't dubbed the final season, it gets dropped how season 1 got dropped. And then if they do renew it for a 4th season, it better be a final season. Because there's only so much you can do for a show like this. It drops that summer. But I'm very excited for season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. Every behind the scenes pictures they post, it's like, I can't wait to hear we wrap production, because then that means we'll get a trailer within the next 2 to 3 months.
Yep.
And a release date. Do you have any theories about season 3?
Well, the last time we did this, and when we got the trailer and when we got like the ending episode and they set it up, I was like, the person that we just watched die is also the person who might have got set up to begin with. So since Paul Rudd has been dead and he mentions a her, I'm gonna say that, just going down the rabbit hole for a wild theory, either Alice broke and she went crazy and actually murdered somebody for inspiration, or Meryl Streep is a murderer. We're gonna get a musical episode, and she's actually the murderer.
Oh, that would be good.
And that's my theory right now, just from everything we know. When I see a trailer, I will give another theory then, and then when I watch the first episode, I will give another theory then. I always do.
That would be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. I honestly don't have any theories about who could have been the murderer. I'm interested to see how it gets pinned on the trio, though.
And that's another thing. Remember, it's called Only Murderers in the Building. The murder takes place in the building. So this murder happened outside the building in Broadway at a theater, which means now either the tenant is not a tenant in the building, but it could be anybody in the city, or the new tenant that moves into the building is the new murderer.
True. What if though, because first season was Sting, second season was Amy Schumer. I mean, on brand. Do you think Meryl Streep will be playing Meryl Streep?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no benefit about it. Meryl Streep is playing Meryl Streep. 100% effect. Unless they get somebody else to play themselves, it's 100% guaranteed. Though that's probably the only reason she agreed to do the cameo and episode is if she shows up as herself. She doesn't have to do any acting except for herself.
All right. I mean, we shall see. Season 3 trailer hasn't dropped yet. They're still in production.
So,
which is crazy.
It will be there soon. We'll find out together, guys.
But we thank you for listening to this super, super, super late recap. But we did it. So basically, it's not a spoiler episode because if you haven't watched it by now, you're not gonna watch Only Murders in the Building. And maybe this
True.
episode will convince you because it is a really good show. All right, they are Emmy winning.
Yes, 100%. And Jose did a magnificent job doing a breakdown. He
I
did a
did all
magnificent
right,
job. You did a good job. You did a good
Could have done
job.
better with 210, but I did fall asleep, so I do apologize.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Consumed by TV. I'm Apollo Black.
I'm Jose Santana. Follow us on Instagram at Consumedbytv.
At Apollo Black Nation. You can also follow me at Twitter at 115 Apollo Black.
And I guess you can follow me on Instagram too at JMS9311 since, we're going full everywhere on this now.